Welcome to the Phillip Wylie Show. Take a look behind the curtain of professional hacking and hear compelling discussions with guests from diverse backgrounds who share a common curiosity and passion for challenges and their job. And now, here's your host, offensive security professional, educator, mentor, and author, Phillip Wylie.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Phillip Wylie Show. We're continuing the series of Be Fearless Online, and this is part 2 of in-browser malicious file detection. And I got Dakshitaa joining me again today, so it's great to have you back on. It's been a while since we last spoke. I've spoke with your colleagues and really getting to see some of the nice features and been really impressed with the development of what I thought was already a great product. So it's great to have you on and get to hear about some of these new features.
Thank you, Philip. Yeah, good to be back on the show. And I guess it hasn't been that long if you compare it to regular product development cycles. And we do have some really cool, exciting new features out in this short span of time. So I'm really happy to talk to you about it in this episode.
Yeah, looking forward to hearing about it.
Yeah. So maybe I'll just go ahead and share my screen so that I can give you a demonstration. All right. Okay, so here I'm going to be talking about the second, part of in-browser malicious file detection. The best part is, lastly, when my colleague was talking to you about it, the feature was not out yet, but now it's out. It just got out 2 days ago, and we've had some really good reviews about it. So I'm happy to show you a demonstration of how that works. So previously, my colleague mentioned that in our malicious document detector, we are putting privacy first by piloting one of the industry's first in-browser detection. So currently this feature works on Gmail, and what we're trying to do is to detect malicious macros embedded in Office files in the Gmail environment. And we picked Gmail because it's one of the most popular email client. And Office files are the most commonly used files till date, right? Everybody, regardless whether they are working in organizations, big or small, or personal lives, we all use Office documents for our communications. So we believe that this is a great starting point for us to truly protect an average internet user online. So we are doing a couple of things in the browser. First one being file type analysis. So we are going deeper than what surface level checks do in Gmail, for instance, and I will be showing you some demonstrations of where email clients have not filled the gaps yet and where SquareX comes in. And the first one being, for example, whether somebody renamed a file type. Does Gmail detect it as a file type mismatch? And we also analyze the file structure of the macros file itself to see whether there are anomalies, because usually when you tamper with a file, it affects a few things, right? Either the structure of the file is different, some parts are missing, some parts could be malicious but seems benign. There's these kind of almost spoofing of the file structure going on. So we do some detection on that. And then we also look through the code itself within the macros, and then we run checks to see if there are certain, sort of blacklisted functions that are being called. For example, are there shell commands? Are there, references to your local system, and so on and so forth. So these are the few things that we do on the detection aspect, and we do all of this in the browser without sending anything back to our servers or to any third parties to analyze. And then on top of doing this detection, we also do some sort of sanitization. So we clean this macros document for you. If it's flagged as malicious, we allow you to download a clean copy of it, where we either remove the macro or we remove a component of the macros that will prevent this file from being evading other antivirus solutions. So really what we're trying to do here is we're trying to create a product that has never been there before, that is truly important for every user, currently every Gmail user. But at the same time, we want to complement every other solution that's out there. For example, if antivirus solutions does not end up detecting this file, at least you know that you've had the first line of defense come in and help you out there. So we do really want to, come into the ecosystem and complement every other solution that is there currently. So without further ado, I'm going to show you a very simple file. So this file I've labeled as calc.xlsm, and all it does is simply call the calc.exe. So if you're running this on a Windows computer, this will open your calculator app, and essentially I'm calling a shell command to run this exe for me. So it's a very simple file, and the truth is that if you were to change this exe file to something that's malicious, it's something that should be detected by our existing systems, right? Because exe files can be really dangerous. So if you just look at this calc.xlsm file, so I'm just going to show you. So I have two windows here side by side. So the first window is a regular browser. This is what an average user sees. So I'm going to click on this email. And the second browser is actually with the SquareX extension enabled. So within the SquareX extension, under Smart Integrations, if you click on this gear icon, you can see that we've added two new features here, which is Gmail scan for malicious documents and Gmail additional view options for attachments. So when these two are enabled, this is where the magic happens, right? So I'm going to open the same email here, which is calc.xlsm, and you can see that there's a scanning going on, and this is detected as a malicious document. So this is the difference between having SquareX and not having SquareX. And why do we flag this as malicious document, right? So if you click on this, you actually have an option here to see technical details on why we flag this to be malicious. And here we tell you exactly what's inside. We tell you there's an auto executive function, there's a shell command, and this is the executable that's being called. So this is pretty amazing because you have not downloaded this file yet. You have no idea what's inside. But we are able to tell you before you even download it, what are some of the components that you have to be aware of. And on top of that, we also tell you things like metadata. So this can come in handy, for example, if you're receiving email from person A and it says the creator is like person Z. Maybe he has a Russian name, for example. Not to be racist, but let's say he has a name of another nationality. So then you can think, okay, is this file something that he really created, or could this potentially be malicious? So there are many different ways you can use this metadata information as well. But yeah, it comes in really handy here, all this information. So now that you know that this file could potentially be malicious, flagged by SquareX, you have a few options on how you can go ahead with it. So let me hide this here. So either you can open this file safely with our disposable file viewer. So let me just show you what that looks like. So if you click on this option, it will directly send this file to our document sandbox environment. So we have mentioned this previously in one of our podcasts, but disposable file viewer is essentially a remote document sandbox running in the cloud. And this is completely disposable. So any file that you don't want to download to your device, you can directly open it within the disposable file viewer. You can have a quick look here. You can even edit the files. And if you need it, you can download it here. So this is one option that you have to view this file safely without even downloading it to your device. If I were to go back and click on this again, there's also another option that we just introduced, which is to open this directly in Office 365. So we actually have a shared license here. So if you click on that, this document will open within the Office 365 system. So yeah. So here again, you can edit it as you wish, and because it's an Office online, the macros will not be executed. And you can also, I think, you can download this file through this option anyway. Oh, this is a view-only file. Okay, this is a view-only file. So
Yeah,
alternatively,
very nice.
Yeah, thank you. So alternatively, we also have a cleanup option. So this is the sanitization I was talking about. If you click on this, you have two options. One is to download a cleaned up version, which is a macro-free version. So if you were to go for this option, it will download the file to you. And let me show you that when I view macros, there's no macros in here because it's been stripped off. Go back. And finally, the last option is for you to download it as a PDF document. So as we know, PDFs tend to be a little more safer than any documents with active macros. So we convert this file to a PDF and you can also download it this way.
Yeah, and especially since you're converting it to a PDF, because you can still, I've heard cases of people sending malicious files through PDF, but since you're creating the PDF, it's safe. It's the same thing if you were printing to a PDF, creating a PDF, that makes it safer to view, opposed to trying to some PDFs you may have to worry about that you're getting from receiving from someone.
Exactly, yes. So currently our solution supports Office documents, but PDF is definitely something we have on our hit list next because, as you said, it is something that's a popular file format that people send around. At the same time, people do find ways to embed malicious content into it. So that's definitely something that's on our hit list next. Yeah.
So are you guys using any kind of blacklisting or any kind of antivirus to detect these malicious files?
Okay, so that's where we are different from regular antivirus, I would say, because there are many competitors out there. Some people have been around for years. They have such a robust blacklist, so many APIs pulling in and all that. And at this juncture, being really new, being like a growing company, we want to make sure that we complement these big companies that already have all these scanning capabilities. So what we do focus on is a little bit more like on a meta level. How can we look at the file structure and figure out if it has been compromised? So currently, we're not using any sort of blacklist, right? So you would actually, with a few experimentation, you would realize that Gmail does a pretty good job at detecting viruses that have already been detected. So it does the blacklisting part on its own. So where we come in is to look at things like the file types, the file structure, and the contents of the file itself to figure out whether this could potentially be malicious. So we aren't using any sort of blacklist at this moment. So I think that is something that makes us pretty distinct from the other competitors. And also because it's a browser extension, it makes us extremely lightweight because we don't have to keep referring to this blacklist and slowing down the scanning process. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sure is. It just still amazes me how easy you make it is to make it to use SquareX, because there's a lot of other products out there that aren't as good for other types of security, and you have to go take some kind of training, watch some videos, read some PDFs to figure out how to use it, and it amazes me how simple SquareX is to use. I mean, I may have shared with you a while back after I started using the browser plugin, I got a direct message on Twitter, and someone had sent me a hyperlink to what looked like my Instagram account. I right clicked it, copied it, opened it up in URL scanner, and it said nothing was wrong with it based on the data it's collected. But I used SquareX to open it up in the Sandbox browser, and it opened up. It was the website was in Russia. It was a .ru domain name,
Right.
and also it was like some kind of stalkerware. So it wasn't a safe site. It was something that people used to stalk you, or or to track you or something like that. And thanks to SquareX, I was able to open it up safely without risk and see exactly what it was. If I depended on the URL scanner tool, I could have clicked on it and could have had some kind of stalkerware installed in my browser from my workstation.
Yeah, that's a fantastic example, Philip. And exactly. So our isolation technologies are meant to protect users like in a foolproof manner. But at the same time, we recognize that sometimes people need a little nudge. Like they might not think it's intuitive to open everything that comes their way in the disposable file viewer. And that's where I think our detection technologies kind of complement it, because now when we tell you that, hey, this looks kind of suspicious or this looks kind of malicious, and then people have a push to open this file in the disposable file viewer, and likewise for links as well. So I think that because our isolation technology is already out there, now that we're coming up with more and more like in-browser detection, it's going to definitely create an entire ecosystem of a browser guard end-to-end protecting you in all ways. So really excited to see where SquareX is headed. Yeah. Okay. So if it's okay, so I'm going to move on to the next demonstration.
Sure.
So what I'm going to do is exactly the same file as previously, which is the XLSM file with the same code inside. But now I'm just going to simply rename it to a PDF, right? So this seems like a really simple, straightforward, like even a novice can do this. And I'm going to send this file through Gmail. And what's surprising to me is actually that Gmail does not really do any sort of detection to find that this file has been renamed. And I say that because they've been in the game for a really long time, right? And this seems like a very basic sort of, I wouldn't even call it hacking, or a very basic sort of, attack to do. So where we come in is we immediately tell you that, hey, it claims to be a PDF, but we actually detect that this file type is XLSM. So this is very, very straightforward because we use MIME type, we use magic numbers to determine what's the file type of the file instead of just using the extension values itself. So this directly tells you, and immediately when somebody sends you an email with this kind of, claiming it to be a different file type, you already know that you should probably never talk to this person or reply to emails anyway. So this is a direct way for you to find out very easily if this is something fishy at all. So again, you have all those options that you can use to protect yourself. Yeah. So here I can mention to you that this one's a PDF, so you can see that on hover we actually added a view safely with SquareX, and we actually have a few more options that I'm going to show in the first one. We have view safely with SquareX on hover. We have download as a PDF and open in Office 365. We've already integrated this with the regular Gmail's sort of UI, so this is very easy for you to open files directly with SquareX anytime you want.
Yeah, that's very nice. I like the way it integrates. It just looks like it's part of Gmail.
Exactly. Yeah. So moving on, I'm going to be covering some of the more file structure based attacks. So one of it, I think both of them, my colleague would have mentioned previously, but just to reiterate, so one of it is called VBA purging. And basically, when we look at the file structure of a Office document itself, it is possible for hackers to evade antivirus solutions by removing certain components of it. And if they know that a certain scanner only looks at one component to scan, for example, in the case of purging, the performance cache of the file is purged, is removed, right? So if they know that this is a component that is not looked at by the antivirus scanner, they can very easily come up with a malicious file that will evade such a tracker. So you might wonder, like, why would an antivirus not just scan through every component of the file if they know, that it's so easy to evade? So I guess it's because speed and efficiency is also in consideration. So we can't always take our own sweet time to, scan through every single file thoroughly before letting the user use it. Otherwise, they're just going to uninstall and, get away with the malicious files. So that's probably a reason why some solutions do not do a more holistic scanning. So where we come in is I'm going to show you a purge demonstration. So I've actually gone to Malware Bazaar and taken a malicious document directly. I just took one that already exists there, and I think this is from some time back. And then we put it through a Office purge, which is open source. It's available online on GitHub. This is to purge the document, which is basically to remove the performance cache aspect. And once I do that, and then I put it through VirusTotal, actually none of the vendors were able to flag this as malicious at all, right? So they didn't even detect it. And, generally when VirusTotal doesn't detect it, Gmail doesn't either. So this is what it looks like. Let me show you. This is the purge file. So you can see that there's no indication here, but this is actually a malicious document. We got it straight out of Malware Bazaar. And when I open it with SquareX, we tell you that it's malicious, and we can see why. It's because there's no performance cache found in the VBA project stream. So we tell you here that, there's some purging going on. At the same time, we also tell you other things that, it may open a file, something about it is suspicious, it may write to a file, and this is the person who has created this document. So I think it writes the file to this email address. So we basically give you a lot more information about the file even before you download it to your device. Yeah.
I really like all the details that you get.
Yeah. I think you might have, you have a lot more industry experience than me. I don't think you've ever seen a solution like this before, I assume.
No, it's nice. And I honestly see security teams using this like incident response. If someone had some interesting, suspicious email that they forwarded to the incident response team and they use something like this to look at it. Because when I mentioned like the URL scanner, that was something one of our IR teams used at a company I worked at. And so the same tool that wasn't very helpful for me and missed that was something malicious, I was able to do that with SquareX. So yeah, it's pretty amazing to see the detail of information you get on it. So it's just not, this is malicious. You get the why it's malicious and a lot of details to why it's malicious.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it saves you a lot of time because I'm sure maybe you can get all these details if you just dig on it by yourself. But, to set up the VM, to open this file, to do all that digging is going to take a lot of time. Then we're able to do it in like a few seconds. I'm sure you saw when it was scanning, it literally takes like a second or two,
Mm-hmm.
and then it tells you all of it immediately. And that's because it's done in the browser. So we really do, save a lot of time and make all of your processes really efficient. So I'm really curious to hear people from the teams actually try to use this product. Hopefully, after listening to your podcast, we'll be giving this product a try, and then we can get some feedback of people on the ground who are battling this every single day, getting a whole ton of files to go through, see how they truly feel about this experience. Yeah, I'm really excited to hear about that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear the feedback. There's some people that I know that do incident response that I want to share this with so they can try it out in their environments and see how it works compared to, when you mentioned a while ago, starting up the VM, a lot of people have sandboxes in their environments. And like you said, even if it was already spun up, the time it takes to go over, switch to that other VM, open up the file, navigate to it and all that, you could already had it opened and looking at the information before you could ever get started using the old method.
Exactly. Yeah. So just like purge macros, we also have VBA stomping, which is also another popular tactic used to evade antivirus solutions. And in this case, instead of the performance cache, we actually have the compressed source code that will be stripped off. So this only works if the attacker knows what your Office version is exactly. But social engineering has gotten so advanced now. Getting this information is going to be so easy for them. So long as they know which version of the Microsoft Office they're using, it's easy for them to use VBA stomping to send you a malicious Office file. So we actually got some samples of a GitHub. So this is a repository that has all these different Office versions and different file types for you to test around. And let me show you what the outcome is. So this is the sample, and with SquareX, we actually detect that this compressed source code is not found, has been stripped off. And this means that the file has definitely been tampered with. So be it a benign, be it malicious, once it's been tampered with on a file structure level, there's something you definitely have to look out for. So this is something that we flagged as malicious as well. So file structure level analysis. And moving on, we also have some known malicious samples. So this might be a demo that we've done also in our disposable file viewer demo. So we essentially have exe running. So it's using the same format as the calc.exe that I showed you previously. And in this case, we actually return the WannaCry UI to the user. So I guess nothing inherently malicious, but we could have posted some malicious content here. And because it's hosted on our own internal domain, Gmail might not have picked it up. So what we noticed, as I mentioned, like Gmail is really good at detecting things that have already been found by other people. But when it comes to zero-day attacks, it's a little bit more difficult. I mean, we understand, right? It's a email service. It's not meant to be something that is super robust in security when it comes to security. So this exe file, it actually gets labeled as something that seems dangerous, right? Which is fantastic. So that's also something that we flag as dangerous. But when I just simply rephrase or rename XLS to PDF of the same document, and sometimes it comes in email, maybe it's a job offer, maybe it comes in as a form that you have to fill, and they tell you please rename this extension and then save it, and you see that it just goes through the Gmail without any detection at all. So here again we detect it and we tell you there's a file type mismatch, and then there's the shell command. It runs this UI.exe and it goes to this URL. So everything here is in plain text for you. It's very easy for you to find out. Yeah. So this is one example for known malicious samples. And
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah. So I also have a very large file sample for you. So because the structure of Office files itself is kind of like a zip, so they do compress. So I have one sample with a 17 MB VBA component, and the file size itself is about 5 MB. So I guess it's not considered a really big file to Gmail, but we have to be aware when there's an extremely large VBA component, what could it potentially be? Because predominantly the use case for VBA macros sorry, tends to be like, for some sort of document formatting. I've seen people from organizations who still use Excel sheets for their daily reporting, for the dashboarding. So they usually use macros essentially to help them with some formulas, help them with some formatting, and to make sure that they get like a consistent dashboard every single time. Maybe they feed this manual information to larger database systems. So why then is a file having a 17 MB VBA component? That's something that should be flagged. So we do flag it here. We tell you that this has an unusually large VBA macro. So you might want to be aware, because sometimes when you do obfuscated code, when they try to stuff in some really suspicious or malicious content amidst a whole bunch of like just obfuscation or random text, whatever it is, then it might result in the file being this large. So it's something that users should know. So it's some information that we do give the users about. Yeah, so that's large files. Finally, I have old Microsoft files. So let me show you what happens if you send like a 97 to 2003 file. So this is a benign file. It has nothing wrong with it. It just, prints a bunch of ABCs. When you click on it, so it just prints it. But it's using the 97 version of the document. So what we do is we flag it as suspicious. So why do we flag it as suspicious? Because it's 2024. Why are you using such an old Office format? So we are want to err on the side of on side of caution. So we do tell you that, hey, this looks suspicious mostly because it's a really old file. We have no idea why you're still using it in 2024. And statistically, this is 2017 data that I got, and only 3% of the world was using 97 back in 2017. So I presume now with Office 2019 and so on, this proportion must be a lot smaller. So if someone is sending a 97 file in this age, there could be something suspicious in there. So it's always better to just open the file with the disposable file viewer, or download a clean copy if you need be. So this is some examples or some use cases that some demonstrations that I wanted to show the general public on why you should get on SquareX and why you should use this ASAP, because it gives you so much information that you are literally blind to right now, because it's not email's jobs to tell you all these things, right? But as a security and privacy company, we do value giving users full information of what they're getting into. And this is why we have created this product, and this is why we want to bring it to the mass market. Yeah. So that's
Yeah,
mostly my demonstration.
not only this is a great tool, it's also very informative. I've learned a lot from these episodes, learning a lot more about malicious attachments and just some of the different things that SquareX is able to prevent. And I'm sure the viewers will learn as well, especially those that just haven't, are not working in the technology field or working in cybersecurity. Sometimes people like that, some of the older folks in our lives or people that are just not that technical, are more victim to this kind of stuff. So it's really interesting and very educational. And so what's the biggest advantage of doing all this detection in the browser?
Yeah. So the reason why we picked like in browser is, and the reason why we're doing browser-based security is because people spend most of the time on the browser, and they log into multiple Gmail accounts. They use Gmail so much. I think statistically, Gmail is one of the most popular email clients used both in organizations as well as in personal lives. So given people spend so much time on the browser, and you have your regular, your traditional security solutions sitting on the desktop, on the cloud and so on, we just want to make sure that before this, you give the file a chance to even penetrate to your local device or to your network, or before antivirus or secure web gateway gets to scan these things. We want to be there first and give you a first line of defense. And when you do in-browser detection, multiple things, right? First of all, it's the most private way for you to detect without sending it to your antivirus or sending it to your organizational firewalls and secure web gateways. And on top of the privacy aspect, we also get a lot more context within this environment. So there's some things that our engineers are working on right now. For example, right, based on based on analyzing all these different like secure web gateways or providers and antivirus solutions out there, I can tell you that 90% of them, they can't work with encrypted zips that are password protected. Right? Till date, they can't, because how could you possibly enter something that's password protected? But when you're doing detection in the browser, you get context to certain other things. For example, in the email body, if there's a password revealed, and then we'll be able to do analytics on the file itself. So these are some things that are still, boiling. They're still in the pipeline. But I'm just telling you that the, opportunities for in-browser detection, it's actually endless. We can do a million other things that people who are sitting outside of the browser can't do, because they don't have access to such resources that we have. So that's definitely one of the largest benefits. And on top of that, the privacy aspect is something personally I value a lot. Like, I don't want third-party people to be reading my emails and so on. But everything is done locally. Everything is done on your own browser. Nothing is going out. It gives me a level of safety. It gives me a level of security to know that I am in the best hands. So that is why we really have focused on in-browser detection primarily for everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and just once again to reiterate to the viewers and listeners, this is a free product too. This is something that you can use freely, and all these other antiviruses, usually you pay money for it, and just to have this added level of protection is pretty awesome.
Exactly. Yes, it's absolutely free. You can go and try it out on our website. We have a Chrome extension as well as a web application. And of course, these features that I spoke about, because they integrate to your browser itself, they only are available on the Chrome extension version. So any Chromium-based browser will be able to access all of these amazing features that I just shared with you.
Amazing. Very good. So thanks for joining me again. It was great chatting with you and learning about new features of SquareX.
Thank you for having me on the show, Philip.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you for listening to The Phillip Wylie Show. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. In the meantime, to learn more about Phillip, go to thehackermaker.com and connect with him on LinkedIn and Twitter @Phillip Wylie. Until next time.